Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we continuing with the Damodara Lila series seminars. So I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I wanted to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can share some pastimes about this glorious Leela that we celebrate the whole month, not one day. The whole month is celebrated with this Leela. So it's such an important Leela. So far, what we've covered, this is sort of the wrong way around a little bit. First seminar, we did a summary of the whole, the Leela, and how one can do extra bhakti just to assist us along the way towards the Supreme Lord. And then we looked at who is Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and just to increase our faith that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we looked at, then I think we looked at the Leela coming up to Damodara Leela. So the first 8 chapters of the Krishna book. And then last week we looked at the position of Yashoda Mai, who actually is she? Is she a demigod who was benedicted to become Krishna's mother? Or is she an eternal associate of the Lord? And I think we easily established that she's an eternal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So today, we wanted to look at different pastimes, setting the scene of this Damodara Leela. And I'm using the book by His Holiness Shivaram Swami, which is called Damodara Janani. And he has really described very beautiful through the different acharyas, this Leela in some detail. And then we look at the churning of the milk, the Krishna waking up, Makanchor Leela. I'm not sure how much we'll get through because it's quite a lot of detail, but we'll try to cover as much as we can today. So why does the Lord appear? Back to basics. Why does the Lord appear in this world? To reclaim the fallen souls, right? That's he's got Yada Idahi Dharmasya. We know that verse, right? 7th chapter, 7th verse of the 4th chapter, that whenever there's increase in religion and decrease in religion, he comes. But then we also know that the more important reason why he comes is to perform wonderful pastimes, to show his sweetness so that we can fall in love with him again. And the verse that is relevant in the Bhagavad Gita is Janma Karmacha Me Devyam Evam Yovati Tattva Tvakta Deha Puna Janma Netima Meti Sorjan. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. So when we discuss Damodara Leela again and again, and every time we discuss it, there's a freshness to it. It's because this is the transcendental nature of Krishna's activities. Hence why we don't get bored. And the beauty of this, not just not getting bored, but it also it'll liberate us. We won't take birth again in this material world, but we'll attain this spiritual abode. So it's so important that we recite these pastimes. These are spiritual pastimes. They're not mundane. And we are very fortunate. Krishna appears once in the day of Brahma, which is like 1,000 yugas, 4.3 billion years, I think, or something like that. And he appeared in the last Kali Yuga, sorry, Dwapar Yuga. So we're really fortunate, just 5,000 years ago. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears straight after him, so just 500 odd years ago. So we are very fortunate to be in the wake of their appearances. Okay, so we're going to look at the Krishna book. we're going to go through all of the verses in the 9th chapter. So we've looked at from chapter 1 to 8 in brief. And now we're just going to focus on chapter.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Riyansh. How are you doing, Riyansh?
I'm doing fine, Prabhuji.
Thank you for joining us. Good boy. So we'll start with text 1 and 2. Shri Sukhawacha Ekada Grihadasisu Yashodanandana Gehini Karmantara Yutashu Nirmamantha Swayam Dadi Yani Yani Hagitani Tadbala Charitani Cha Dadi Nirmanthane Kale Smaranti Tani Agatayata.
Sri Sukdev Goswami continued, one day when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way, she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities.
And one of those songs has been reproduced in the Gopal Champu by Jiva Goswami. And we are very fortunate because Karuna Bandhar is actually going to sing that for us. So really looking forward to that. So this pastime is described in some detail. It's setting the scene. It's the day of Diwali. So we celebrated Diwali last Saturday, 1 week ago. So let's transport ourselves back a week and back 5,000 odd years back as well. It's the third day of the series of Diwali festivals. Just a little bit of revision, I suppose. The first day of the festival is Dhanteras, and a lot of people make the mistake that this is the time to worship wealth. Actually, it's the time to worship Dhanvantari, and our wealth is our health. So he is in charge of, he's the God in charge of health. He gave us the Ayurvedic system of medicine. So hence why he's worshipped. And Indulekha very kindly shared a very nice prayer about him, which I have actually put into our session. So we will be doing that way daily at some point. Then this Kali Chaudas or Naraka Chaturdasi, and that sort of commemorates the killing of the Naraka demon by Krishna. Then, of course, Deepavali or Diwali, and some people also do the Lakshmi Puja. That's the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya after 14 years in the jungle. Following day, Govardhan Puja, which we really enjoyed last Sunday. That was, I think, one of the best Govardhan Puja festivals I've ever had, and the Parikram around Govardhan. So, and then Bhai Beach is Bhai Dooj. Yeah, that's right, which is the celebration of the bond between brother and sister. So these are the 5 festivals. Festivities had begun with the Brijvasis because the 3rd day. They were cleansing and renovating their homes to receive goddess Lakshmi. They were decorating the doorways with colorful designs, the Rangoli, beautiful Rangoli patterns. And they were gracing the windowsills with ghee lamps. It was very early morning in Vrindavan, and the wonderful sounds of the birds chirping and cows mooing were more delightful than the celestial Gayatri mantra chanted by the Brahmanas. This is Vrindavan. It's come directly from the spiritual world. So of course, this would be the case. So let's transport ourselves to Nand Maharaj's palace. Yashoda Mai lay in bed with her transcendental son. Slowly waking, she looked towards her beautiful child whose lotus-eyed eyes were closed in sleep. He looked just like a blue lotus. She gently kissed his cheek. He doesn't stir, but feels the indescribable touch of love personified, causing waves of ecstasy through his spiritual body. So you can just imagine this must be the most incredible scene where she's just looking at her blue lotus. He looks just like a lotus flower, very, very beautiful. And just her touch gives him ecstasy. He's completely, her touch is love personified. So he feels that love throughout his very being. Some very qualified demigods and their equally qualified wives hovered in the sky, marveling to see the controller of unlimited universes in his original Gopa form, resting in the arms of his mother. The residence of Nandan Yashoda was spacious. Many bedroom chambers were there, marble tiled, inlaid with precious jewels, opened onto a veranda. Expansive balcony. Now, this is not ordinary marble or ordinary jewel. This is a Chintamani stone. This is spiritual touchstone. And this balcony it overlooked the whole village and beyond. It looked at Mahavan. It was a very amazing scene. There, just next to the bedroom, Mother Yashoda had her own spacious wardrobe, replete with silken clothes, priceless ornaments. There were bath chambers, there was a kitchen, the pantry. There was a stately reception rooms, and that led to the grand hall of 84 pillars, Choriasi Stamba. And that is still there. Some devotees reckon that actually this is not where it was originally, but a remnant of this Choriasi palace is still in Gokul, modern day Gokul. So one can visit there, and I'm sure many devotees will have visited this glorious town. And this is the famous temple. If you want to have a fight in Vrindavan, in Braja, not that we should fight, this is the place to go, because the Brahmins there are very aggressive. They're very, very aggressive. And they'll make you sit down, and they'll make you commit your life savings to them. So, but a phenomenal place. They have darshan of Krishna, a very beautiful darshan of Krishna. There's huge deities of Krishna Balaram, isn't it? And Nanda and Yashoda. And then there's the inner courtyard, and then the adjoining gardens, and then there's the outer courtyard as well. So it's a spacious, they had a palace. Nand Maharaj was the king. So he had 900,000 cows. So he had a residence to match. Yashoda Mai rises and she goes to her bath chamber, where there is only one of her maids waiting to assist her. Normally she'd have a few, but today was Deepavali. So they were all the other maids were busy. The other palace servants were preparing for Diwali. Yashoda Mai was informed by her maid that everybody was looking forward to making this Deepavali celebration special, because now Krishna is old enough to relish such events, and all the Brijavasis want to please him. They have spontaneous love for Krishna. So Krishna was 3 years old, and he was just now beginning to grasp these different festivals. And of course, he's the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows everything, but he also plays a role simultaneously, that of a Yashoda Mai's son. After dressing herself, Yashoda Mai's maid ornamented and garlanded her, lots of flowers in her hair, very beautifully, and noting that goddesses fall from their aeroplanes in envy to see the beauty of this queen. She was very, very beautiful. As you'd expect, she's the Lord's mother. Really beautifully dressed as well. And she would dress not for herself, but for Krishna. She would dress to please Krishna. Restless for the service of her son, Yashoda Mai cut her grooming short and, followed by her assistant, hurried into the courtyard below. Yeah.
Sorry, is everyone able to hear us?
Yes,
Yes, Mataji.
yes, we can.
Thank you.
Kaushalya, maybe just go
we can
out
hear
and come
No,
back
I've
in.
told her she's
Okay.
not even connecting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you very
you for
much.
that.
I'm glad you said yes, because otherwise I would have been talking and restless for the service of her son, Yashoda may cut her grooming short. So normally she'd take her time and there would be many maids helping her. But today was a special day. So she decided, let's get down to the courtyard where 3 golden churns of milk were waiting. She intended to use this milk as follows. So half the milk for yogurt for tomorrow's butter, and the remaining half for sweets by boiling and condensing. So we would call them burfi.
Mm.
Nand Maharaj has 9 lakh cows, some of which were very rare due to the superlative quality of their milk. Creamy, tasty, aromatic. This is very difficult for us to understand because we see milk.
No smell, no taste.
But their milk had different aromas. Some is very thick. Some cow's milk smelled like jasmine, rose, saffron even. Different varieties of taste and smell in milk according to the cows. To make this milk special, even more special, these cows were carefully pastured in a divine meadow whose grass was soft, juicy, and fragrant. Some Gopas suggested that the seeds of this field originated from heaven. So this grass must have been such amazing grass. Padma Gandhi was one such cow. She was famed throughout Braj because her milk had the aroma of the red lotus.
Yeah, because she was giving lotus flowers to eat. So that's why.
Also, somewhere I had heard that she would be fed the milk from all the other cows. And then eventually the milk that came out was so thick and so juicy and so
cream.
aromatic. It's just like, yeah, just like cream. And it was such a huge quantity. It could potentially feed the whole of Braj. It was just the most incredible. But it was all used to serve Krishna. But that isn't reflected in Shivaramaj's book. So, and there are some things I've added to his book, but that I just couldn't find any reference to it. I was looking, but I couldn't find it. The milk of these cows is delivered daily to Yashoda Mai, who understands which milk has come from which group of cows and separates it all when it comes to Nand Bhavan. With some milk she makes sweet, with some she makes paneer, with some she makes sweet rice, depending on the day and occasion. She arranges everything perfectly. Generally, the maids would make the various milk preparations. However, Yashoda Mai, having heard so many complaints against her dear son from the elderly gopis about his pastimes as Makhanchor, although she could not still believe that her darling son would do this, thought that he may possibly have become addicted to stealing the butter produced by the neighbors. If he has been naughty, then to break this habit, she was thinking that obviously the maids had become careless when making the preparations. They cannot be trusted as they seem to be regularly burning the milk. Hence the reason why my dear son goes elsewhere. So she was thinking, I'm going to do it myself today. My opportunity. Of course, her service mood is second to none. But she was thinking, this time I'm not going to ask anybody else to get involved. I'm going to do it myself. To break this habit, she was thinking, I must entice him by providing butter that is far superior to that which he can get elsewhere. And actually, later on, we'll see how when Krishna tastes her butter, he goes into ecstasy and he decides, I'm not going to eat too much of this butter because if I eat too much, I will become completely under her control. I'll be in so much ecstasy, there's going to be no more Lila. But in the neighbors' homes, because it wasn't produced with such ecstatic love that Yashoda Mai has for Krishna, he could eat as much as he wanted. He could fill his belly, no problem. That meant she will make all the food preparations herself with all the love that she has for Krishna. As a queen, always accompanied by her servants and guests, Yashoda Mai never really had the opportunity to focus on cooking for Krishna. However, today she had the opportunity because the servants were occupied at their homes due to Diwali. And also Nand Baba was taking Rohini Mataji and Balaram to his brother's house, Upanandan. And normally Nanda Baba would be attending Indra Puja in Gokul, but this year his younger brother, Sunanda, he would be supervising the ceremonies in Gokul. And Nanda Baba was going to go to Upananda's village, Sahara. Yashoda Mai was pleased also that she would be able to spend time alone with Krishna, which didn't happen often. There was always something going on at home. Yashoda Mai decided that she would churn the yogurt herself and also watch the stove at the same time while Krishna was still sleeping. So there's Lala nicely sleeping, not a worry in the world. Got the peacock feather there. And this is the view of from his room of Mahavan. She poured the milk into a large pot on the stove from the yogurt that was prepared the previous day. So she got that from her storeroom and she spooned this best part into a churn near the door of the bed chamber. So she'll keep an eye on him as well. From there, she can see the milk boiling, and also she can see Krishna, who's in bed at the same time. And she would at the same time be able to churn the yogurt. So now we come to the third verse of the Bhagavatam. Whew.
Shomam vasapati kati tate vivati sutranadam putra sneha snuta kucha yugam chata kampam cha shubhryu rajiva kasha shrama puja chalat kankano kundale cha Srinam bhaktam kabara viglalam malati nirmamantha. Dressed in a saffron yellow sari with the belt tied about her full hips, Mother Yashoda pulled on the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, and her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair.
So she's churning the milk, seated on a choki, a low, generally square, multi-purpose platform that is most often used as a table or a seat, which can also serve as when seated on the floor. Yashoda Mai took up the rope looped around the churning rod, which was within the churning pot, and began to pull. Right arm, left arm, right arm, left arm. This is an example. So this is the choki. This is the churn, and that's the rope used to churn the yogurt. And the yogurt is in there. And this is how butter is. And this is, Kamakshi, this is the yoga exercise that we Anjali now do.
I know. I think the modern gym places are replaced, but now the corona has said, get back again. So do yoga from home.
Yoga from home. That's right. So this was a natural way they kept healthy, by churning the yogurt for Krishna. It's a really amazing picture. And I did have a picture of Jayanti here, but she changed it for this one. This is really good, actually. The silken rope. Oh, yes, that's right. This actually, this is not silken, of course, with gold, what do they call it?
Thread.
Gold and silver thread. But Yashoda Mai's was like that. The silken rope was entwined with gold and silver thread, and at each end was a golden handle to ensure a secure grip. Like other churning pots, it was made of fired clay, but unlike others, it was set with precious stones. and decoratively painted with charming designs. It had to be special for Krishna. Yashoda Mai would check on the milk, which was boiling on the stove, whilst also keeping an eye on her darling son, who was still resting. Although she loved it when her charming son was constantly around, she was happy that he was still resting. She was, you want to say?
My son is so active. He needs the extra rest.
Resuming her churning, she would sing about Krishna's glories and transcendental pastimes. So we're going to come to that song shortly, and really looking forward to it. The maternal love of Yashoda Mai was so strong that she decided that from then on, she will prepare all the butter, milk, everything her son eats. It seems that the maids are not intelligent or experienced enough to do it properly. Hence why her son feels the need to take these things from others' home, even though he drinks so much of her breast milk and eats so much yogurt. How much can he eat? In the same way, she also made up her own songs of Krishna. Even though many professional poets, etc., have written songs about him, after all, who could know more about Krishna and love him more than she? What can the poets know about the true beauty and sweetness of her own son? Everything in the spiritual world is conscious. And as the spiritual world was transported to earth to participate with Krishna, everything on the earth Vraj was fully spiritually conscious. The churn was happy to produce the butter unaided. But Yashoda Mai would have none of it. In fact, the churn kept saying, Yashoda Mai, you just rest. You work so hard every day, all day. We'll do the churning. But Yashoda Mai said, no, I want to serve my son. How would she be able to show her love if not by preparing the butter herself? Her heart would not be satisfied. So Yashoda Mai labored with the pulling of the churning rod, even as fatigue was beginning to set in. The combined sound of her shaking regal ornaments, earrings, bracelets, etc., was like the tinkling of dozens of tiny bells. And together with the swish, swish sound of the churning, it was like an orchestra performance with a mind of its own. So literally, they were having like the London Symphony, but much more sophisticated, simply by Mother Yashoda's ornaments and the churning of the churning. Yeah, the tinkling bells were calling out to Krishna. O source of creation, just see how hard your mother is laboring to make first-class butter. Krishna, he started slowly to stir. Peering through squinted eyes, he took in the scene of his mother's churning. So he slowly opened his eyes. He was just coming around. He's had a good sleep. He's been a busy boy. His heart swelled with love and joy. As soon as he saw his mother, he was so much in awe and reverence of his mother. The love radiating from his mother had entered his eyes and shone into his heart, where it created a festival of bliss. Can you imagine this? He was ready to crawl out of bed to embrace her. But at the same time, he was relishing, enjoying seeing his mother's full glory of devotion, whilst she was taking so much care to serve him by making first-class makhan. His mother glanced over to see if her darling son was awake. He quickly closed his eyes. She thought to let him sleep a little longer. And also the butter was not quite done. Mother Yashoda continued her service and became completely engrossed in meditation upon her gorgeous little son through singing about his glorious pastimes. So this is what's shared with us by Jiva Goswami in the Gopal Champu 1.8.4. So this is where We've got the orchestra ready, I hope. Actually, we got the singer at least. Wonderful
No,
devotee,
sure.
Karuna.
She's got some music as well.
So, Karuna, are you ready?
Hare Krishna, I hope so, Prabhu.
I'm going to record it twice. Okay.
Okay.
Go for it.
Gokula Patikula Tilaka Tvam Nasiha Gokula Patikula Tilaka Tvam Nasiha Krita Sukrita Vraja Rachita Sukha Vraja Nayananandi Samiha आनन्दोद्भव जन्म महोत्सव मण्डित गोप समाज पूतनिकामृति नवमङ्गलकृति वलियत गोकुल राज धैर्य निवर्तन शकत विवर्तम मनोभव्येन परिता सत्रिनावत वायुनिवर्तक परमेशेनानीता मधुर प्राङ्गण विरचित रिङ्गण जल जनयन सुपुण्य नाना केलुषु नृत्य कलालिषु दर्शित वरनैपुण्य तरनकवालदि शबलित तन्वरि वलयित मञ्जुल शोभ जरति निवाहे कौतुक कलहे प्रभलित मिथ्यलोभ मातरं मनुसुखम् उद्वितौ प्रततं सततं कृष्ण द्रुतमुचर कुरु तनुभृद्धिं कुरु केलावलीकृत तृष्णा त्रिभुवन दर्शन विस्मयमर्शन निश्चित वैष्णव माया हरिवीर्यवरिवस्य सुखदतमस्य विगत जरामय गोकुलपतिकुल तिलक त्वं मसीहा गोकुलपतिकुल तिलक त्वं मसीहा कृत सुकृत व्रज रचित सुख व्रज नयानन्दी समीहा गोपाल चंपू की जय
Hey, Yashoda Mai ki jai.
जय
Karuna Bandar has been blessed by Yashoda Mai to sing that. Well done. That was really, really good.
Radha Damodar ki jai.
Jai. Okay, so now you're on the line. Yanch, you can read the English. You there, Yanch?
Yes, Prabhuji.
You can read the English.
Oh, my darling son, you are the crest ornament of the dynasty of Gokula Pati Srinanda Maharaj. The Rajvasis must have performed greatly pious acts to witness you, bringing joy to their hearts. Your activities delight the eyes of all. The rose, the the joy of the cowherd community by the blissful festival of your birth, and by the recent and auspicious act of killing Putana, you have spread the glory of your father, the king of Gokul, far and wide. After eliminating Shakatasura, who made everyone lose all composure, you were blessed by the auspicious rituals of the Brahmins. Later, Sri Nanda's worshipful deity Parameshwara returned you to us after destroying Trunavarta along with his tomb. O lotus-eyed boy of incredible piety, you used to crawl about on your tiny hands and knees in your charming courtyard. You have shown great expertise in playing various games and then demonstrating many varieties of dance. When you used to grab the tails of the calves, they would run away, dragging you along. At those times, your gregarious form was pulled through the dust and cow dung, which gave you an even more enchanting splendor. While playful quarreling with the elderly Gopi, you would frivolously increase everyone's confusion through your antics. O Krishna, since I am your mother, however, continue to expand my already boundless joy, quickly grow healthy and strong, and fulfill our desire by delighting your eye with your many lively pastimes. At first, you caused bewilderment by displaying the three worlds within your mouth. Later, however, it was understood that by doing so, you confirmed the existence of Lord Vishnu's spiritual illusory potency, Vaishnava Maya. O Krishna, may your body be free from aging and death, and may you become the bestower of bliss by serving Sri Hari. Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Well done, Riyansh. And especially I like this verse here. When you used to grab the tails of the calves, they would run away, dragging you along. At these times, your gorgeous form was pulled through the dust and cow dung, which gave you an even more enchanting splendor. So this was what she was singing. And she was singing with her full voice. She was really into these pastimes, singing these pastimes. In deep absorption of Krishna, she even forgot Krishna was sleeping, that she was churning butter, and they were inside the palace. She was completely absorbed in this Lila, so much so that she didn't even remember where she was. She was just completely absorbed. This is meditation, highest level, as she sung the song, Glories of her son. And this is her looking in the distance and singing away. And this is actually very interesting. This is the darshan of Sri Ukal Bandhan Lila, Stali Madhavan Gokul. So very interesting. So her voice rising higher and higher, accompanied by her orchestra of ornaments, She mistakenly thought that she was in the courtyard making peace between Krishna and the neighborhood gopis while singing about this pastime. So she was completely absorbed, lost in another reality. Yashoda Mai so fully experienced Krishna's presence that she drew him into her meditation, and in so doing, even made him unsure where he was. This is extraordinary. Krishna thought to himself, am I in bed or am I in her thoughts? It was such a powerful meditation. Finally, no longer able to tolerate the distance between them, driven by the desire to show his love for her and also desirous to drink her milk, Krishna sat up and with tears flowing from his eyes, issued a stream of cries calling, Mother, Mother, Maya, Maya. Although brought back to reality, Yashoda Mai remained captivated by the pastimes of her songs about her naughty son. So she was aware he's up, but she was still in her own reality of the Lila of Krishna. This is Lila Smaran. This is the highest form of meditation. Krishna, however, was besides himself, still seated in bed. He screamed, Mother, Maya! Spontaneously, he looked around. Usually he has some friends, searching for his close friends, but they were absent. Everyone was preparing for Diwali. Looking again to his mother, his heart swelled with love to see her ride the relentless surf of oceanic love for him. He thought to himself, I must get up, stop her churning, stop her churning and drink the milk of her breasts. Even the temptations of the ladus, which were calling out to him, there were ladus nearby, they could not allure him from the special affection he cherished for his mother. His hunger became intolerable. He cried out to her. His mother, so engrossed in singing his pastimes, did not hear him. Krishna paused for a moment and thought to himself, and informing the personification of prema, that is love. So this is where Krishna is plotting today. I want my mother to achieve the highest pinnacle of motherly love. I do not know what it is like to be bound by the ropes of my devotee's love. So he's having this conversation with prema. Prema is within him, but is also a special potency that the Lord possesses, who can enact or pastimes between the devotee and the Lord, which brings them to higher levels of interaction of love. I want to feel the devotee's love, not just with my heart, with my entire being. That's what he wants to do. And especially I want to feel my mother's love. This was the perfect opportunity because he was alone with his mother. If somebody else had been there, they would have interfered with Krishna's plans. So if Nand Maharaj was there, this wouldn't have happened. Rohini was there, this wouldn't have happened. Balaram was there. This might have happened, but not too sure. Climbing down from his bed, still sleepy-eyed, and only wearing a kopin, he tottered in direction of his mother, softly weeping. Finally, Yashoda Mai came to full external consciousness. From the corner of her eyes, she saw Krishna approaching. Eager to relish his moods and movements, she did not greet him, but waited until he stood beside her, stretching his body, rubbing his eyes and murmuring, Maya, Maya. Yashoda Maya didn't respond, still continuing her service to make makhan. She wanted to see how he'd respond. Upset at being spurned, Krishna grabbed at the folds of her sari with one hand, and with the other hand, he grabbed hold of the churning rod. So this picture doesn't quite get there, but he's grabbing the sari. And of course, she was seated anyway. But anyway. So this brings us to the next slok in the Bhagavatam. Stanya kama shadya mathatantim jananim hari kritva dadi manthanam nyasedat pritim avahan.
While Mother Yashoda was churning butter, Lord Krishna, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her, and in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning.
Mhm. Yashoda Mai greeted her Lala. Oh, my beloved. Oh, yeah, go on.
Oh, my beloved son, you're awake. How wonderful.
But still continued to churn. Krishna placed his other hand on the churning rope and made it known he wants to drink her milk. Charmed by her son, Yashodamai embraced her darling son, placed her hands under his arms, and raised Krishna to her lap. Mhm. Gazing for a moment at the indescribable beauty of her son, she drank that beauty through her eyes and was about to nurse when she stopped and pondered.
Why does my son look so different, so beautiful, and in ways I have never seen before? Has he changed in some mysterious way? Or is it I have never really looked at him so deeply? Is this really Krishna? It appeared he was made of blue lotus and scattered with different beautiful flowers. She drank in the nectar of his face.
Krishna raised so every time she'd see him, she would be amazed. Who is this boy? How come he's even more beautiful than before? And this shouldn't surprise us too much, because even Krishna, when he was in Dwarka and one time he happened to look on the floor tiles, which are like a mirror, he saw himself and he thought, wow, who is this beautiful person? So his qualities are always increasing. He's becoming more and more beautiful. It's a competition between him and his beauty. So the fact that she would see him differently every time was not really that surprising. Krishna raised the soft petal of his hand and touched her cheek her cheek to be assertive. And he said, Mother, I am hungry. So he was assertive, right? Reprimanding herself why she was being so selfish, enjoying her son instead of serving him, she said.
Poor thing, my little darling, you must be hungry after sleeping so long.
Krishna had been fasting all night and said, I am very hungry. I am very hungry. Angry. Yashoda Mai, soothing Krishna's hair with her hands, asked,
Why are you angry?
Because you are churning butter instead of giving me your milk. If you hadn't stopped, I would have broken the churn.
Oh dear, but darling, the butter is meant for you.
That may be, but the butter is for later. I am hungry now. Yashoda Mai marveled at his intelligence, who was only 3, teased him.
Then why are you talking? Why don't you drink?
The milk poured out from her breast into the Lord's mouth. Sometimes a little milk will spill from the edge of Krishna's mouth, and Yashoda Mai would try to wipe the drops from his face with the edge of her veil. So this brings us to another verse, the 5th verse.
Damankam arudam apayat sthanam snehasnutam sasmitam ikshati mukham arpitam uttashrija javena stayayo utsiyamane payasi twadishite. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap, began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast.
There he is. She's taken him on her lap, giving her milk to him. Seeing the mark of Shrivatsa and the sign of Lakshmi, long way around, isn't it? On his chest, she would try to wipe them away as well, thinking them to be milk. But when she wouldn't be able to, she would whisper.
You are such a mysterious little boy.
So this Srivatsa is like a white lock of hair, isn't it? It's a signet of Krishna. Only Krishna has this. And of course, it's permanently there. In the mundane world, the infant is the recipient and the mother, the benefactor. But so normally, when mother's breastfeeding, the child will get the milk and the mother will be giving the milk. She's the benefactor. He's the recipient and she is the benefactor. But in this sacred exchange, which is the original maternal relationship, Krishna fully reciprocated with Yashoda Mai, giving as much as he was taking and perhaps even more. So what was Krishna giving and how was he doing it? Simply by Krishna's touch, Yashoda Mai's bliss increased immeasurably. Krishna also entered his mother's heart, wherein she not only felt the bliss he was enjoying, but also the love for her that he was radiating. So this was one incredible moment that they would go through every single day. As a result, they both became ensnared in a kind of spiritual rivalry in which each spontaneously outdid the other in mutual offering of ever-ascending love, culminating in each thinking the following.
I shall die if I'm ever separated from him.
How could I ever live without her? At that very moment, the personified prema, this is the prema that Krishna was talking to before he got out of bed, prepared to open a new chapter in the transcendental loving pastimes between eternal mother and the divine child, a chapter which would be glorified by countless sages in countless books and give tremendous joy to the devotees of the Lord. This pastime is so important and cherished. It is to be celebrated for a full month, not just a day. There was suddenly an emergency. The personality of milk, saddened to think that Krishna will not require her service. After all, how can one compare to the ambrosial milk flowing from Yashoda Mai's breasts into the lotus mouth of the Lord? In desperation, the milk decided that she could not live any longer if her service to Krishna is made redundant, and started to boil over and jump into the fire. The maid had put too much wood on the fire. This is what Yashoda Mai was thinking. The stove became too hot and the milk was boiling over. Yashoda Mai saw the milk about to overflow. She lifted Krishna from her lap and placed him on the floor. With that, she raced off to the kitchen. Krishna was shocked. Feeling hungry and neglected, he bit his lower lip and he stamped his feet in anger. After fasting all night, here he was teased with a few drops of milk and then abruptly deprived of more. His stomach was pained with hunger, and at the same time he was deprived of his mother's love. Double whammy. Anger rose within him and he began to growl like a lion cub. After all, he is Nrsingadev. Philosophers have argued over the last 5,000 years whether Yashoda Mai did the right thing. She had to attend to the milk quickly. So this is one side of the philosopher's argument, and would have been encumbered by her son if she carried him with her. She could have also dropped Krishna if she carried him hurriedly to the kitchen. Is it reasonable, however, to abandon one's hungry son for a pot of milk, especially when we are surrounded by Braj's milk-soaked pastures? Is this reasonable that this act was perpetrated by one who is known as a presiding deity of affectionate mothers? Others argue that for Yashoda Mai and Nand Baba, their homes, their bodies, relatives, lives are fully dedicated to Krishna. They consider everything to be his. Similarly, the milk is meant for Krishna. And get this, it is even more important than Krishna. How can that be so? Yashoda Mai decided that Krishna's interest would be best served by saving the milk, even at the cost of his being hungry. Sometimes confronted with two equally important things, one must attend to one at the cost of the other. For a great devotee like Yashoda Mai, the proper intuition on how to make such a decision is given to her by the Lord in the heart. How can she be at fault? However extraordinary her actions may appear to us. So she's absolutely right. In other words, to go to save the milk and drop Krishna, even though he wasn't fully satisfied. We must remember in these pastimes, Krishna is simultaneously fully cognizant of his Godhead. So he's completely aware of himself, as he is also absorbed in his identity as a child. It is not that Krishna's consciousness oscillates between omniscience and innocence. They are parallel states of existence in which neither obstruct the unique mood of the other, just as the Ganga and Yamuna rivers flow in the same riverbed without mixing. So we know this place, Prayag, and when we go there, we see the Yamuna and we see the Ganga, and we see they stay separate. So in the same way, Krishna's Godhead is there, and also his childlike mentality is there simultaneously. They're not intermingling, they're there, they're both there. So he's enjoying as a child. He's also completely aware of his situation. It's quite a unique place to be. That takes us to the next verse, text number 6. Sanjata Kopa Spurita Varundaram Sandasya
Dadi Mantha Bhajanam
Pitva
Mishar
Mishar
Asamaravo Jaghasa Hayangavam Antaram Gataha.
Translation: being very angry and beating his reddish lips with his teeth, Krishna, with false tears in his eyes, broke the container of yogurt with a piece of stone. Then he entered a room and began to eat the freshly churned butter in a solitary place.
Thank you, Riyaj. Yashoda Mai demonstrated the quality exhibited by an exceptionally qualified devotee, that to serve Krishna, devotees would agree to be separate from him. Only because it pleased him would Yashoda Mai let Krishna herd calves in the forest at such a young age. Right? So this is serving Krishna in separation. Only because Krishna wanted to deliver Vasudeva and Devaki would the Brijbasis allow him to go to Mathura. While separation between lovers is generally painful, it was different with Krishna and the Brijbasis. When Krishna was distant from the Brijbasis, externally they behaved as if they were being poisoned. However, the internal reality, what the Brijbasis felt, was entirely different. When separation appeared devastating, it actually caused feelings of unprecedented bliss. This is for us inconceivable to understand. And so we have to accept this on face value. And the same applied to Krishna. When he was in the forest, Krishna's heart yearns for the mother's touch. When he was in Mathura, Krishna would cry for the Brijbasis. When he was sleeping besides Rukmini, he would call out Radha's name. At those times, Krishna's suffering was so extreme that it frightened his associates. Yet at the same time, within himself, Krishna felt unprecedented happiness and bliss. Overpowering heartache, intense longing, and unrelenting hope were catalysts that transformed his suffering into ecstasy. So just how the Brijbasis were feeling, Krishna was also feeling. So now Krishna was feeling separation due to neglect. And from those thoughts emerged feelings of anger, of love. This together with the knowledge that Yashoda Mai's experience of bliss out of separation from her darling son would exceed his own bliss. His mounting anger finally erupted. A shower of hot, angry tears issued from Krishna's lotus eyes. Thanks. Were his tears false or real? Right? Anybody like to answer that? Were his tears false or real?
False, Prabhuji.
Okay. Anybody else?
Real.
Who said that?
Kamakshi.
Okay. Why
Real
Kamakshi?
because he wanted to show her, Mother Yashoda, that he's genuinely crying for her milk and her.
That's a good answer. Anybody else? Okay. From scriptures, we know that the Lord is always satisfied within himself. Right? And he
It
knows.
was false tears because Krishna was even looking at his mother's reaction. It was false tears. I don't know now. You decide.
Sure. Thank you, Baji. He knows neither hunger or thirst, right? He's Atma Rama. He's self-satisfied. He doesn't need anything or anyone. So is it not contradictory to say that Krishna is hungry and angry? So is he now pretending to be dissatisfied and angry in order to nourish the paternal love of Yashodamai? That's exactly what you just said, Maji.
But
Learned
maybe he
opinion.
was setting an example to say that the child shouldn't be left like that.
Yeah. He definitely was upset about that. Learned opinion of the Vaishnava gurus is that Krishna is not acting.
So they're real.
They're real tears. Dependence on his parents is a feature of his essential identity. So what Kamakshi just said is absolutely right. That the child is completely one and the same as the parents when he's little. Right? So the dependence on his parents is a feature of his essential identity. And that's the same for Krishna as well. From that dependence sprouts the inspiration by which he becomes the father of all living entities and hence their maintainer, Janardhan. Krishna is the original feature of Godhead, not an expansion of Narayan. Therefore, whatever moods and gestures we see him express are spontaneous, not a show. So that's something we have to understand.
So basically, he wanted to go through that same emotions and experience them before he could feel them.
Yes, very good point. Krishna was looking for something to anger. So this is the point. These were real tears. Remember, it's simultaneous, right? He's Supreme Lord and is also a child simultaneously. Just like Ganga and Yamuna are together in the same riverbed, but they don't mix. Krishna was looking for something to vent his anger on. He managed to find a pointed stone, which he brought from the courtyard into the house the previous day. He used the stone to crack the churn and break a pot of yogurt. Because mother had yogurt, she brought from the storehouse, which she was putting into the churning pot. And he actually broke the churning pot, which was quite a task to do, but he managed it. Casting a guilty glance in the direction of Yashodamai, he noted that she had not heard him and was still preoccupied in the kitchen. Pleased with his antics, Krishna had a mischievous smile on his face. However, the churn cracked in two, and all the yogurt and the butter, because the pot he also cracked, contained therein, spilled onto the floor, as did the yogurt in the pot he broke. This made Krishna even more angry, and splashing the spilled contents here and there, he resolved to raid the storeroom because he could no longer eat that yogurt. It was on the floor, right? He had some decency. He wouldn't eat off the floor. The storehouse.
But Hare Krishna, he will not eat from the floor, but he will eat the dirt, right?
Exactly what Jayanti said. Yeah, but he ate the dirt for a reason, right? There were many reasons why he ate the dirt. He wanted to honor Mother Earth. And he also wanted to honor the demigods. He had so many things that at the same time he was fulfilling.
This
I
is
want-
Krishna. This is Krishna. Nobody can understand him. So
Well,
let's
he
stop
says
here.
one thing. He says one thing and he means something totally opposite. So that's Krishna.
do, do you think this is a modern version of tantrum?
That's definitely the original tantrum. Definitely the original one. The storehouse was adjoining the kitchen. It was here that Yashoda Mai stored cooking supplies like wheat, rice, spices, milk products in clay pots hanging from the ceiling. So this is where the yogurt and the makhan would be hanging in the storehouse in clay pots from the ceiling. The room was dark and cool. Krishna also knew where the keys were kept hidden. They were hidden. They were hidden in Yashoda Mai's private wardrobe area. So now for Krishna, this was going into unknown territory. He was entering on uncharted waters. Never before had he been so daring at home. Although he was ruthless at the neighbors' homes, he was always careful not to upset his mother at home. Good domestic conduct assured him of his royal protection from village complaints. That's why Mother Yashoda never believed anyone, never believed anybody. She always used to go away and brush it off. But now his mood was, I don't care. Finding the key, right? He found it. He went into her private quarters, found the key. He slipped it into the store. He's only 3, right? Storeroom door lock and turned it. After opening the door, he entered the storeroom and he closed the door behind him. But it was pitch black. But not for long, because he invoked his divine effulgence. Krishna lit up the storeroom. He looked at the many pots hanging from the ceiling. They were too high for him to reach. He found a tall mortar in which his mother would grind spices. And he used that mortar to reach the pots hanging from the ceiling. Ah, there you go. There's the grinding, there's the mortar. And there's Krishna. Yeah, there's a pot there. And he's got a nice belly there. He's a little chubby, that boy. Removing a few pots with great effort, Krishna placed them on the ground and then himself crawled to the ground. Finally, he had what he wanted, yesterday's freshly churned butter. Ripping off the cloth coverings, he sampled the butter from each pot. The taste of the butter was incredible, but it was not like any other butter. It was not like any other butter because it was Yashoda Mai's love for him in the form of butter. Krishna continued to savor the butter, but he restrained himself from eating too much. He thought, if I overeat, the effect of this butter will subdue me, making me submissive to mother. And thus, no more stealing, no more mischief. It'll bring the pastime to an end. So he made sure he didn't eat. This was the reason he stole the milk products from the neighbors, not his mother's. The neighbors' produce lacked the intensity of Yashoda Mai's love, and thus it lacked the same controlling power. He could eat that as much as he wanted. So this is a good time.
Yeah, we just do this and stop.
Yeah. So now we will stop. We will sing this Chorastakam, which is a really, or when I say we, of course, I mean the royal we. I mean Karuna Bandar. No, let it record. Okay. Oh, the phone. Good point. Okay. So, come down. So Chorastakam. Karuna, you there?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Chaurastakam ki jai, Virva Mangal Thakur ki jai. Vraje prasidham Navanita chauram Gopangananam Chadukula chauram अनेक जन्मार्जित पापचोरम् चौराग्रगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि श्रीराधिकाया हृदयस्य चौरम् नवं बुधश्यामलकान्तिचौरम् पदाश्रितानां च समस्तचौरम् चौराग्रगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि अकिञ्चनीकृत्य पदाश्रितं या करोति भिक्षुं पतिगेहहीनम् केनाप्यहो भीषच्छौरैर्द्रे दृष्टश्रुतो वा न जगत्नयेति यदीयनामपि हरत्यशेषम् गिरिप्रसारानपि पापराशिम् आश्चर्यरूपो ननु चौरैर्द्रे दृष्टश्रुतो वा न मया कदापि धनं च मानं च तथेन्द्रियाणि प्राणां शरीर्वा मम सर्वमेव पलायसे कुत्र धृतोऽद्यचौरा त्वं भक्तिदां नशि मया निरूढा चिनत्सि घोरं यमपाशबन्धं भिनत्सि भीमं भवपाशबन्धम् छिनत्सि सर्वस्य समस्तबन्धम् नैवात्मनो भक्त क्रीतं तु बन्धम् मन्मानसे ताम सराशि घोरे कारागृहे दुःख मये निबधा लभस्व हे चौरा हरे चिराय लभस्व हे चौरा हरे चिराय सचर दोषसहितमेव दन्वम् कारागृहे वसा सदा हृदये मरिये मद्भक्तिपाशदृद बन्धन निश्चल सन् त्वां कृष्ण हे प्रलय कोटि शतान्तरेऽपि सर्वस्व चौरा हृदयान्नहि मोचयामि सर्वस्व चौरा हृदयान्नहि मोचयामि। चौराष्टकम की जय, बीमा मंगल ठाकुर की जय, शबुपाद की जय।
Jay, thank you so much. That was amazing. Ritesh, are you there? Or Anil? Are you there, Anil? Oh, Ritesh is.
Prabhuji, can I read?
I am, Prabhu. Sorry, I
That's
took
okay.
time to unmute.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
So that's okay. So Ritesh, you can read maybe if you read the first four, and then Rianch is keen to read as well, so he can read the next four. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. That's fine. Okay. I offer my respectful obeisances to that foremost of thieves who is famous in Braja as the butter thief and he who steals the gopis' clothes and who, for those who take shelter of him, steals the sins which have accrued over many lifetimes. I offer my respectful obeisances to the foremost of thieves who steals Srimati Radhika's heart, who steals the dark luster of a fresh rain cloud, and who steals all the sins and sufferings of those who take shelter of his feet. He turns his surrendered devotees into paupers and wandering homeless beggars. Alas, such a fearsome thief has never been seen or heard in all the three worlds. Mere utterance of his name purges one of mountain of sins. Such an astonishingly wonderful thief I have never seen or heard of anywhere.
O thief, having stolen my heart, my honor, my senses, my life, and my everything, where can you run to? I have caught you with the rope of my devotion. You cut the terrible noose of Yamaraja. You sever the dreadful noose of material existence, and you slash everyone's material bondage. But you are unable to cut the knot fastened by your own loving devotees. O stealer of my everything, O thief, today I have impressed you in the miserable prison house of my heart, which is very fearful due to the terrible darkness of my ignorance. And there for a very long time you will remain receiving appropriate punishment for your crimes of thievery. O Krishna, thief of my everything, the noose of my devotion remaining forever tight, you will continue to reside in the prison of my heart, because I will not release you for millions of eons.
Eons. Good. Well
Yes.
done, Rianj. Thank you so much. Chaurastakam ki jai. So we wanted to actually stop there, and we can continue with the pastime tomorrow. Tomorrow is also Gopastami, so we will look at a little bit about Gopastami, but we'll continue with this pastime because it'll still take another 2 sessions, I think, perhaps 3. So much detail and so much nectar in these pastimes. Are there any? Are there any questions, Anil? Anything that you'd like to ask?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm good, Prabhuji. The pastimes are very self-explanatory, and the way you have explained is very nice. I'm able to understand and proceed ahead.
Okay.
Very good, Prabhuji.
It's not me anyway, it's Shivaram Swami. His book I've just, it's probably one of the hardest bit of work I've done, because normally I'm used to cut and paste, copy and paste, but it's a book, you can't copy and paste a book, you have to write it out. So, but it's really fascinating how he's analyzed it beautifully. So thank you so much. Thank you. And there's a lot more detail to come. There's a lot of detail I haven't included, by the way. There are all sorts of conversations between the different living entities in Bridge, the birds, the parrots, the devatas also having conversations about these pastimes. I haven't included any of that. This is just the raw pastime itself. But it's worth reading the book as a whole, because it gives a lot more depth to the pastime as well.
Prabhuji, can I just ask one thing, if that make relevance to this discussion?
Yes,
of course.
Baby Krishna was stealing the butter from his own house, like he was stealing less than the he was stealing more from the neighbors, so that he is not coming under Yashoda Mata. So like this this theory, how can we, what can we understand and apply that in our practical life?
Good question. Because yes, the point is that the intensity which Yashoda would cook the offering was so deep that if Krishna ate, when he eats that, he feels that love and he digests that love and he controls. Basically, his naughtiness disappears because he becomes under the control of the devotee. Whereas with the neighbors, their love is not as, it's definitely intense, but it's not as intense as Yashoda's. So there he could enjoy, he could fill his belly and not necessarily come under their control. So you're absolutely good, very good question. We have to also try to get this intensity of love like Yashoda. Of course, that's not possible because she's an eternal associate. She's actually part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, expansion of the Lord. So, but we have to endeavor to get as intense with our love as possible. Funny, we're reading the Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, and one of the points which Kapil Dev made to his mother was that only through intense bhakti can one achieve the Supreme Lord. So essentially what we have to try to learn from this is our bhakti needs to get intense, needs to get very deep, needs to be not at a superficial level, but at a level of where we're connecting heart to heart with the Supreme Lord. Very, very difficult to achieve. Right? Very difficult to achieve because our heart to heart is with material nature, with our families, with our cars, with our homes, with our job. That's where our heart lies, unfortunately. But we have to try to make that, we have to make the effort to transform our attachment to material things, make it attachment to Krishna. And that takes time through the chanting, through the reading, through associating with devotees. The transformation will slowly, slowly, slowly take place.
And another thing that you're asking, how can we do that at home? If you have deities at home, maybe build that relationship with, not just see them as just murtis. You have to do, puja to every day just because it's been done through the ages.
Nice point.
But develop that intense relationship with your deities, and treat them as if they are basically Krishna in your house.
Nice point. Very good point.
Thank
and
you,
have
Mataji.
Radha Krishna. You have Radha Krishna, right?
Yes, yes.
Ah.
From Mathura, yeah.
My goodness, that's amazing. You're very fortunate. They've actually come from Mathura. Wow. So yeah, she's absolutely good. Very good point. That is where you can build a strong connection. I wonder, you can think, what does my Krishna want to eat today? What would he like to eat? Please inspire me to make something that you would like to eat. And then see what answers come into your heart, Not what we'd like to eat, what would you like to eat? Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mataji.
Good question. Great question, actually. Great question. Anybody else? Madhusun Babu?
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Yeah.
Jai, it's nice listening to the Katha. And I was going to say pizza, but Krishna.
That's right, lasagna.
Well, I made some yesterday, so I offered it to Krishna, and I think he liked it. I must have. But then I start to perfect it little by little, and then make it as better and better. So it is. That's what bhakti is. Bhakti is on a level of where there is activity, and it's a spiritual activity. So we think, it's hard concept to come to realize that, everything in the spiritual world is conscious. That's another amazing thing that you start to understand. And like you said, yesterday even Mataji was telling how everything was conscious. The milk that boils over, and that's kind of conscious. And he kind of talks back and said, "Hey, Krishna, oh Yasoda, look, I'm boiling over." And it's amazing. And even the rope that Mother Yasoda ties Krishna with, and that is kind of a conscious kind of rope. In other words, everything is conscious in the spiritual world. Whereas, we are conscious here, but our conscious is directed towards more material things, and that's the proof that, sometimes when I go for a walk in the park these days, and then there's so many people out there, taking their dog out for a walk, and I think they're so dog conscious, obviously. And then you think, I'm not saying that I'm better than them or anything like that, but it's just that, here I am chanting away, and then that kind of makes me think I'm God conscious, or trying to become God conscious, where they are dog conscious and they're more serving their dog more than anything else. And then they're fortunate, because the dog is very faithful. They love their dog. They got a personal relationship with their dog, and dogs are nice personalities. I mean, sometimes even I have a friend of mine who has got a cat, and he said, when I'm ill, my cat really is so aware and so conscious of me not well, comes and sits next to me in a different mood, So the animals are aware of all these different things. If you have a pet like that, I don't have a pet like cat or dog or anything, but certainly, they're more conscious like that, and aware of their master, who's not well or anything. But that we are trying to have that relationship with God, being conscious. And Krishna is a personality, so he's beautiful. And so on this there's a little story of Mirabai, how Mirabai's grandfather wasn't very well one day. So Mira was only about 8 years old, and so around about that age. And so his grandfather said to Mira, I said, Mira, I'm not feeling very well, and then would you just like to go and do the puja, to the Thakurji? Because this is the Mewar. It's a true story. She was a princess of the Mewar in Rajasthan. So she said, but I've never done any puja. What do? I don't know. You do it every day. I don't know. So he said, no, it's easy, simple. Just, you just go and have a bath, dress up nicely, and then come to the deities and then take their clothing off and all that, and then give them a bath, and then put some perfume and attar they call it, so put some attar, and then put some nice clothes, put some nice jewelry and all that, and then make them very nice, and then go in the kitchen and boil some milk, put some sugar in it, and put some saffron in it, and put this nice milk and offer it. And that's what you do. So she was just a young girl, and her power was different in a way, that she was so innocently. So she did it. She did everything nicely, went and had a shower and everything, and then put nice clothes on, came to deities, took all the nice clothes off and give a bath and everything, and then made the milk, offered it. And then as she offered it, she sat there and said, go on, then drink it. She sat there and sat there and sat there. He kept insisting. He said, then she started doubting. He says, is something wrong with my milk or what? Have I not done it rightly or what? Then he started talking to the deity. He said, look, if you don't drink, I'll be in trouble, and my Dadaji will be upset. Come on, Then she, oh, okay, you know, I forgot. Maybe I didn't put the cover, you know, like black curtain round. Maybe, you know, that's why you're not drinking it. So she had a shawl, you know, simple little chundri or something, chunni. She put it across and then she kept saying, go on, drink it now. Okay, I'm not looking, drink it. And she kept looking on his, I'm not drinking. And she insisted. And actually, Krishna did come and drink it. And when Krishna came to drink it, Mirabai, she saw actually the darshan of deities. Actually, it was so beautiful, the eyes and the ears and the face and the jewelry around and all the thing. And it was so beautiful. She started saying, wow, he is so beautiful, our Thakurji, so beautiful. And it's amazing. And she started to admire the beauty and all that. And then she said, no wonder my dad, you know, he likes to do this puja every day. And now I understand. But she was just innocently just doing her thing, you know, just did it. And then she started to sort of, you know, Krishna started to say, okay, I'm going now. And as Krishna was turning around, going around, Mira was, oh, wait a minute, before you go, I said, can I ask one thing? I said, yeah, what is it? He said, well, can my Dadaji remain ill all the time? So then Krishna started to laugh and said, oh, Mira, look, your manokamna will be fulfilled, but your Dadaji don't have to be ill all the time, all right? Yeah? You will come and do your puja to me from now on. You can do anytime you want, and I'll be here. So she went and she said, okay. So as she took the katori, you know, milk she had offered, she walked past and she stood by. She was just transformed because she'd obviously seen something amazingly, personality of Krishna. And then she said, oh, stood there in trance, like, you know, totally transfixed, you know, totally her mood was changed completely. And Dadaji had some visitors come around, you know, who had, because he wasn't well. So some, you know, some of his friends who were Gyanis and who were wealthy and a lot of money and this and that, they come in. And so they were sitting there asking him how he is. So he said, that is also Mirabai, you know, in the far distance through the door, right? And said, Mira, have you done the puja and all that? He said, yeah. He said, have you done all the offering to Thakurji? Yes. Yes, done it. Oh, then can you make sure, bring some of that milk, the prasad, and distribute it to some of the guests that have come here? And she said, Mira said, what milk? There is no milk left today. What do you mean there's no milk left today? You said there's no prasad. What am I going to distribute? I don't, there's none there. What do you mean none? He said, yeah, well, you all drank it. Thakurji drank all of it. He said, oh, what do you mean Thakurji drank it and all that? It started to doubt and it started to scold her, saying, and the guest started to say, no, she's only a little girl. You know, she might have drunk it herself. You know, just don't get upset too. Don't don't scold her and all that. He said, no. But you know, they'll think that I'm not training her properly or something. So they got upset her and started scolding her. So then they forced her to go and make some more milk and then offer it this time. And they all followed her and said, look, we'll offer it. What do you mean he drank it? You know, and then all these guests started saying, we've been doing puja for 30, 40, 50 years. You know, what Thakurji hasn't come drink milk. And what she's just done, and Thakurji's come and drunk her milk. What do you mean? So they started to sort of doubt and they started to question and intimidate her a bit and put pressure on her. And this time she was offering the milk differently. Previously, it was her bow. She had a very innocent bow, but this time she was doing through dabao, means like by force. So she offered the milk with Thakurji, but she just couldn't take the pressure of this intense pressure from all the people around her and all that, and then she just collapsed, you know. And Krishna, everything started to shake around the pillars, and the bells started to ring and all that, and then immediately they didn't get the darshan of Krishna, but the milk did get disappeared, you know. And grandfather said, you know, my Thakurji has given darshan not because of me, but because of Mira's bhav. And he has come into my abode here in this palace. But I've done so much puja, but I don't have that bhav. And you know, this is true story. You know, if you look into Mirabai's, because she had so much darshan and her bhajans and everything, so she started to develop this relationship. And there are so many other examples of when the bhav of the devotee is there, then actually the deity does reciprocate as well. Krishna reciprocates, you know, whatever bhav we have. That, you know, I mean, I don't have that. I mean, you know, I remember once, you know, in my lifetime when my daughter was only about 7, 8 years old, like that, you know, and then one day she was looking at our deity and said, look, Krishna is laughing at me and smiling and all that. I said, what do you mean she's laughing and all that? Okay, you know, she might be thinking a bit, but that's a minor incident like that. Then the next time she said, look, you know, she was watching that Krishna story, you know, that one of the videos we used to put for her, you know, and so watch this. And where Krishna is playing, and I've got a picture of, you know, Krishna and Balaram playing with the cowherd boys and little calves running around, and they're all running around in the field and playing, and like as if running, you know, such a jolly picture. It's one of those classic, you know, wonderful picture of in Vrindavan. And you know, she started to see the film, watching the film, and started crying. She said, I want to go and play with Krishna like that, you know. And she kind of insisted, I want to go there and play, I want to go and play. And she's so innocently doing it, you know. But it's obviously she's young and we don't understand all that. But sometimes, you know, devotees, the power is there. But yeah, this is important, you know, that and it's nice you know, you've done a wonderful job of this detail from Shiva Maharaj's book. And my daughter is, you know, she's initiated by Shiva Maharaj. She reads all these books, you know, of his and all that. And she was reading it the other day when she came over here to Diwali time. And she was reading from that book, you know, Damodara, Janani. So it's a, you know, different level. And thank you very much. Yeah, sorry if I've taken time.
Oh, thank you. That's good. Good to share. Good to share. Anybody else like to ask anything or say anything? Okay, so let's go to I'd like to pray for Ketan. He's Amita Krishna's and Sangini's son, for him to get better soon. He's having a tough time for the last few months, so we want to really pray that Lord Nrsimhadev gives that wonderful boy some protection. So, Karunabandha, would you like to lead?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Let me just bring it up. 1 second.